The hospital will not tell you anything. They will not confirm nor deny the person is even there. I knew they were blue papering her for like 48 hours, and I highly recommend taking this course. Good morning. It is Wednesday, and holy cow, the wind is blowing like crazy. It's very, very strong. It stays like this. Well, let's be real, it's every day. I really miss working remotely because even though the drive to work is so short, it just sucks having to come out in this shitty weather, and it's only gonna get worse, of course, once snow starts falling and ice and ugh. Really just wish they'd let us work from home. There's no reason not to, but end of rant. I want to talk today a little bit about the mental health industry services, because I realized if I am gonna ever share these videos, then some people need to know what, other than what the parent goes through emotionally, or what the child goes through emotionally, or the person with the mental illness goes through emotionally. There's also a huge problem in the medical field surrounding mental illness. She is still in the emergency room unit waiting for a bed. This is the 5th day, and this is nothing, I'm not shocked by it, because this is how it works. This isn't just a lack of staff because of COVID, and I'm sure that doesn't help, but this is an ongoing issue. We do not have enough facilities for people that are, and I'm talking mental health issues because that's what I know. I'm guessing this is probably around the board. I'm not saying it's just mental health issues, but as far as mental health issues go, if anyone's wondering, you get treated like a dog in a kennel. The emergency room is not a great place to be. I talked about it before. It's one room with a bed that is secured to the floor. There's no color. There's nothing that's not bounded to the wall or the floor. It's a pretty horrific scene. It's like something you watch in a damn horror movie. And where she's at now, it's a really old building, so we can only imagine. I haven't been to that one, and I can only imagine. I don't want to imagine what that's like. But of course, no windows, no pictures, nothing. So, and I say I haven't been into that one, and then I tell you there's nothing, but I guarantee there's not in the psychiatric unit in the emergency room. It's probably worse than I'm even describing, and I don't even really want to go there because she's been there we're going on day 5, and it's messed up. It really is. In the past, people used to treat people with mental illness horrible, throw them in the basement, lock them in the basement. Honestly, I don't know that this is a whole lot better. I don't think we've improved that much, and I get that for their safety you have to remove things. I understand that. They're not in their right state of mind, so hopefully they don't remember it, but it just doesn't feel right in a lot of ways. And I tend to harp on treat the providers well. It's not their fault, blah blah blah, and I go on that rant a lot. And I do agree with that. They don't have anything really to do with this. Hopefully they can make life a little better by being kind to the patient, but who the hell knows? We can only hope for the best. But if anybody were ever to watch this video that has any clout or money they want to put into funding or whatnot, I highly recommend looking into this, because it's a problem. It's a problem, and if anyone wants to help, that would be great, because I don't have the finances or power to do so, but I do have the voice. And I can tell you right now, it's freaking a messed up system, and something needs to happen. That's my rant for the morning. Happy hump day. Good morning. We made it to Thursday. It's been a long week, and she is still in the emergency department, which is getting very frustrating. Freaking busy. Can't stand it. It's hard to get out of my driveway sometimes. Okay, today I just wanted to discuss a little bit something I was watching on YouTube, because I watch this. Sometimes I'll listen to YouTube as I'm getting ready, just to have some noise. And one of the guys I listen to, his name's Sloan, and I highly recommend him. I think he's great, and he's very much a victim advocate, but it's usually for TV stars, so they probably have their own advocacy, but that's what people want to listen to. Of course, they want to listen to kind of gossip about their favorite TV stars. A lot of them were child stars. That's what he seems to focus on. And today he was just talking about one of the child stars whose mother apparently was quite abusive and did some pretty horrific things to this child. And he also talks a lot about Britney Spears and the conservatorship, and pretty much how the entire family has abused her. And it just got me thinking, anybody can get on there and say that they were abused, and I'm sure that most people aren't going to do that unless they really were. So I certainly wouldn't take away from that. On the flip side of that, I know that if my daughter were to get on YouTube, and if she were a famous actress or whatever, she tells everybody that she had a horribly abusive childhood. She tells everybody that I have Munchausen syndrome and that I'm controlling, and I'm sure she would feel like I'm only on here to talk to get attention. And trust me, if I wanted attention, this would not be the way to go about it. I'm honestly on here to help other parents, because I know I couldn't find the help, and I tried to research online and find other people, and I finally did find a Facebook group, and that was helpful. But this is by no means to get attention, and her abuse did not happen, and but in her mind, I don't believe she's lying about it to be manipulative or to be evil or to get attention. It's none of that. I believe that her illness has created these memories that did not happen. And when she talks about things, she'll take a snippet of truth, but she'll blow it up into something horrible. For example, she'll say, when she was little, I bit her head and she still has scars from it. And that was not the case at all. And I'll just go ahead and tell you, when she was she's been diagnosed with a mental illness, but she's always been a very, what you'd say, spirited child, even since she was born. She was in counseling at a very early age. We couldn't figure out what was going on. She was extremely strong-willed, which I always said will be great for her when she gets older, but it was hard for us. And I had taken her toy princess phone or radio away, and I was putting it up in my closet with one hand, and she had grabbed my other hand and was biting it as hard as she possibly could, to the point where it was drawing blood, like she was clamped onto it. So what I did, because I only had one hand, and this all happened so quickly, so it's hard to really remember, but as I'm trying to balance this, and I don't want this pretty big radio, I think it was a radio thing, to fall on her head, So I'm trying to like get that up, and what I did was I put my chin on her head like this, like try to push her off of the clamp, okay? And she remembers that as me biting her head. And did it hurt her head? Probably. I can't imagine it was as much as it didn't bruise or anything like that. And actually, no, I take that back. I think I put my chin on it and she didn't unclamp, and I might have put my teeth. Anyway, it sounds horrible. It was not a bite of the head. It was some pressure on the head that, yes, I did, because that was my natural reaction to somebody clamping on my hand like that. But I promise you, did not draw blood. I don't think it even bruised it. I was really it was so quick. And anyway, things like that. And she'll just take things that happened and blow them way into like something hideous. And so that just, I don't know, it got me thinking, especially when you can't hear the other person's side. Like this person in particular, her mother died of cancer, and that probably these things did happen. I just don't know. I guess moral of the story this morning is there are always two sides to a story, and the truth is usually somewhere in between. So that's my lesson for today. Okay, I am going back to work after my lunch break. I spent a good portion of my lunch break on the phone with the place that I used to live. So let me rewind a bit. I got a phone call this morning right after 8 because I had just gotten into work, and it was Dad, and she had called him, and she was in complete psychosis, not making any sense. I could tell you some stories, but I feel that's her story and not mine to tell. So just definitely psychosis, okay? And blaming me again, which is nothing new. At least she stays consistent with one thing. Everything's my fault. But so her dad was assuming that she got transferred to a longer term place, that she's out of the emergency department. And I said, well, I should certainly hope not, because they're supposed to call me when that happened. So of course I gave it a little bit of time, thinking, well, maybe it just happened, maybe they'll call me. Well, they didn't. So about 10:30 rolled around, and I decided to call over there, and of course I was transferred 4 times, imagine that. And I figured out why. It's because I called the emergency department figuring she was still there, since I didn't get a call, but she wasn't. She was in the other unit, so they had to figure that out and transfer me to that unit. So by the time I got to that unit and they told me it was that unit, I was pretty damn pissed, and I let them know. And I think that's why I'm feeling right now I feel a lot of mixed emotions. And for me to get angry it's just not really like me to get angry, especially outwardly angry. But I talked to that nurse and I let her know how I felt, knowing darn well it wasn't her fault. And she was very apologetic and wasn't sure why the emergency department didn't call to tell me. Asked if I knew she'd been put in lockdown before she got to the unit, which no, they didn't tell me that either. And here's the interesting thing, guys, just so you know. St. Mary, she already had her vaccination, but somebody in the house apparently was around somebody with COVID. So anyways, they were just playing it safe to get everyone a test, and called her dad for permission because he's the medical guardian. So they have to ask permission before getting a freaking COVID test, but they can transfer her to a place that I specifically said I didn't want her at without notifying me at all. It makes no sense. So I let the nurse know I wasn't happy and that this seems to be a common trend with. And I asked who they have assigned for a team for her. And it's the same fucking, excuse my language, team that she had last time, which obviously doesn't work. They keep doing this. They put her back in there with people she doesn't trust, providers she doesn't trust, that she refuses to see or work with. And I think it's because they want to sit on their ass and medicate her to a point where she's a zombie and then send her on her way and let us deal with it. That's all I can figure. But then I think, well, why the hell wouldn't they send her to another place, since that's what I suggested anyway? Why would they keep her there if they don't want to deal with her? But maybe they want the money because she's got insurance. I don't even know how this works. All I'm going to say is it's not making a lot of sense to me. And I get that was the first bed that opened. Okay, I totally get that. And protocol is to put them in the first bed. Granted, I don't know that for a fact. I don't know if that's even what happened, but let's assume the best that that was the first bed that opened, so they followed protocol and put her in that bed. So, okay, I get it, if that's what you have to do. Even though I specifically said I wanted her to go to a different hospital, because I really this one's not working, right? So if it doesn't work, it's time for a fix. And nope, here she is back again. So I went online and I found basically a email that I could write to for complaints if you feel like they're not getting the service that they need, or were treated, aren't being treated right. You can contact this email and let them know. So they also said you could contact DHHS, which I had already thought of, Department of Health and Human Services. So I spent a good part of the day drafting letters to talk about my concerns and why I'm writing the letter to begin with, and wondering what I can do about it. And I didn't send them. I decided to go to lunch first to think about it, because as I'm writing the letter, honestly, I'm thinking they're just going to put this back on her. They're going to say she doesn't want services. She's refusing. What can we do about it? That's my fear, that they're going to blame her. But then I spoke to the lady at the house, because I wanted to find out, as far as a release plan, when they do release, is she even welcome to go back to this place? Because again, it doesn't seem to be working, but it's the best option I think we have. It just doesn't seem to work. So I figured they were probably going to say, yeah, this doesn't work. We don't have the capacity to keep her safe or whatever. But no, they want to see her get better, genuinely. I think they genuinely care about her, and that makes me feel good. So if she can stay there, if she even wants to stay there, maybe that's the thing to do, because she has formed those relationships. I can't even think that far ahead right now. But the lady I spoke to was telling me about this other hospital that I had tried to get her into, and said they have a new program where the psychiatrists or they give you one psychiatrist. I believe you meet with them, more than 5 minutes a day, like at this place. But it's a new program. They keep the patient for longer term, and they strip them of all their drugs, their medications. They start them fresh. They start over and see if they can find something that works, because we haven't found something that works, because we haven't brought her back to her baseline yet. And until we do, it's not working. Granted, the marijuana is what triggers psychosis. That I understand. But there's more to it. There's more to it than that. And any shred of hope you can find, you've kind of got to take it. So if you see a crack of hope, you better turn that into a hole and go through it. So I'm going to write these letters, and I'm going to do anything I can to get her out of this place and into the other place. And it's going to be an act of Congress, I'm sure, because they don't. When I was talking to the nurse at the hospital, that she said she's never heard of them like moving somebody from one psychiatric unit to another in another hospital. So I'm thinking to myself, well, there's always a first. The other thing I have to do is get her dad on board, and I don't know. I've tried calling. I called him back. I wanted to tell him, ask him if he could write a letter as well, but I can't get hold of him, so I'll send him a text. But maybe if both of us write a letter. Sometimes I feel like I'm the emotional mom and they don't take me seriously, but maybe if he would write one too. He'll write more. It'll sound more like a lawyer writing if he writes it, whereas I try really hard to keep emotions out of it, but come on, I'm mom. Like, there's no keeping emotions out of it. So that's where I'm at. I'm feeling, I don't know. I'm feeling like always that I don't have any control of the situation, that the people that do control the situation do not have her best interests at heart. And why do I have medical guardianship if I can't bring her to the damn hospital that I want to take her to? Anybody else could go to whatever the hospital they want. They get to choose their hospital. If the hospital where they live is shitty, they can go to a better hospital. They can go to another state, whatever. No, not with mental health. You're a number. You're just placed in the first bed. And it's kind of disgusting. And you're not going to see me angry all that often, but when I do, I'm going to push. I don't want to say fight, but I'm going to push forward, because you have to do it in this field. You can't just let things slide. You can hope and wish all you want. When I tell you hope for the best and everything, that's in situations where there is no control, okay? That's in situations that, I don't know. That's a different situation. But when it comes to situations like this, where somebody else is trying to control your loved one, then you kind of do have to push back. And, well, we'll see, because I'm going to keep you updated, and let's see how well this works or not. Positive thinking, right? Mm-hmm. Hello. I am taking my little nature walk and thought I'd bring you along because I have a couple things I want to say. It's not as pretty as it was because it's getting too cold, and now the colors are just pretty much yellow and the leaves have all fallen. But I'm telling you guys, you cannot make this shit up. I am drained to my limit. I am fucking drained. So I think I had said that I was going to write to the improvement performance specialist, or whoever on the website. They give you this person that you can send an email to and a phone number if you have any concerns with client care. So I wanted to voice the few concerns I had. So I spent all day drafting a letter, which I thought was really well written, and I finally get the courage, because I don't like complaining, so just keep in mind I do not like complaining, but I got the courage to press send, and the freaking thing wouldn't go through. So it's not a current email address. So I call the number, and I call the damn number, and it is out of service, or it's a mailbox that's no longer being checked, and it gave me another number. So I'm like, whoa, these improvement service people need to improve their damn service. So I call the number, and it's just some guy's like, hello, and I'm like, hi, yeah, I'm calling because blah blah blah. So thankfully, I guess he did work for. He said, well, how about I find the number for you and I will call you back. And I said, that would be amazing, thank you so much. So he did. He called the number, called me back, gave me the name of the person I should call tomorrow, so I'll do that. And then he ended up calling me back because he's like, where did you get this number from? And I told him the voicemail, but I wasn't at my computer, so I couldn't tell him exactly how I found it, but hopefully he'll figure it out. But come to find out, after chatting for a little bit, that he is like the vice president of business resources, I think he said. I was walking out to my car, so I didn't have anything to write on, and so I can't remember his name or his position because my mind is in such a influx of stuff. So he's like, is there anything I could help you with? He opened that can of worms. So I said, well, I might as well spill it, because I got this guy on the phone, and that probably doesn't happen very often. And hey, let's look at it. Things happen for a reason. So I told him the issues I had with the emergency department and the communication, with the fact that I think they're over medicating her and just sending her out the door before she's ready, and that I was just tired of the ongoing revolving door in the hospital, and that she needed longer term care, that they were gonna, because I spoke to the social worker who said they're likely going to recommend the state hospital for the next stay. And I said, I wanna try the other hospital, which is it's just a total different hospital in the southern part of the state, because I know they have a new like psychiatric unit. I think they have a new system, that I talked about earlier. And he said, yeah, that actually, I think they're more equipped for long-term stays. Like, we have a great outpatient program, but he's like, we're not really equipped for long-term hospitalizations in that unit. And I'm like, yeah, I noticed. I didn't say that, but he kind of agreed with me, which was good. But I feel like I'm rambling at this point, because it's hard for me to make phone calls anyway. Like, I really don't like talking to people, and I don't like talking to people about this. Talking on camera is one thing, but trying to sort of complain, I guess, which I'm not really trying to complain, I'm trying to advocate. But I'm talking about it now because there is a point where you need to do everything you can, pull out all the stops, and be that voice for your child when they can't do it. She can hate me all day long and think I'm the worst parent possible, so it doesn't matter what I do, she's gonna think that. So hell, it's not like the relationship can go south. So yeah, I just want to try to do whatever I can, looking from the outside what I think her best interests are. And I think the only hope she has is if she gets, well, probably put on a different medication regimen, because I don't think this is helping. It's not bringing her back to baseline. And maybe providers that she feels a little more connected with, or that take the time to learn more about her, talk to her, who actually meet with her. I don't know. Let's just say that I want to utilize every option before we go to a state hospital. I don't want her locked up in a state facility for obvious reasons. Maybe that's where she's most safe, but I'd rather see her have somebody that she can talk to about why she should not be using marijuana to soothe herself, and maybe to find the right medication that will do that for her so she doesn't need to use the marijuana. Yeah. Okay. I don't even know what to do with myself at this point. I know my boyfriend wants to go grab a bite to eat, but I feel so just drained, I guess. And I just hope that she still gets the care she needs, and that my doing this doesn't hinder that at all, because I don't imagine that if they find out who I spoke to, I don't think the staff's going to be altogether thrilled with me, so hopefully they won't take that out on her. I can't imagine. But I have a feeling the emergency department isn't going to be too thrilled, because he was going to actually look into that when I said they weren't calling me to tell me she was being transferred. So yeah, there's that. But you know what? Good, because if that's how they're going to treat people, it shouldn't be that way. And if they're doing that to me, they're doing that to other parents and family members, and it's just not acceptable. So okay. that's what I had to say. I look completely exhausted, and wow, I can always tell when I'm stressed out because it just shows, doesn't it? It just shows. Yeah. All right, guys. I'll be back on tomorrow.